When you critically consider the advice most people offer about emergency funds, 3 glaring flaws stand out. A deep dive into what they are and how you can overcome each, coming up. Before we dive into those upsetting flaws and some solutions, I want to say welcome. Thank you for being here. Through this channel, I help people like you build their rapidly growing, highly diversified net worth one video at a time. And if you've been around me for probably any amount of time, you know that I'm not a fan of taking things at face value. Just because every expert regurgitates the same advice, that doesn't make it right. And even with a concept as simple as an emergency fund, they're failing you. In case you're not familiar, your emergency fund is the money that you have or should have saved in case of emergency. Job loss, debilitating illness, tree falls on your house, money that is there when you need it. So you don't have to tap into your brokerage or retirement accounts. Or worse, go into debt. Or even worse, go into more debt. This should be one of the first steps in your financial planning process. And there are plenty of fine resources out there to help you find strategies to build your own. I'll link to a couple from other creators in the description. I'm just gonna assume that you're familiar with the basics of what most experts recommend when it comes to your emergency fund, because for this video, I wanna focus on what's wrong with that traditional advice. So far, I've identified 3 major flaws. Flaws that, when realized, will leave you less confident and leave you feeling, I'm sorry, but less secure. So, disclaimer, if you don't want to have to deal with that reality and the stress and pressure of finding a better way, you should probably stop watching right here. Number 1. 3 to 6 months is probably not enough. Tidy little boxes like that, like if your household has a single income, you need exactly 6 months worth of living expenses, and if you're dual income, then you only need 3. That can be nice. Our brains like rules of thumb like that. They don't have to work as hard. But it's just that, a rule of thumb. Yet it's often preached as dogma, something everybody should do, as something everybody should adhere to. Think about where that rule originated. It comes from the average amount of time people are out of work after losing their job. So there are a whole bunch of people who are out of a job longer than that, sometimes a lot longer than that. And that's just one of the potential emergencies with which this rainy day fund is supposed to help you. Fixing this isn't hard, but it will require a little work, a little brain power on your part. You need to understand your monthly expenses. Itemize each. Actually write them down. When they fluctuate each month, like groceries or gas, assume the high end of that fluctuation range. Then think about what you absolutely need and what you could give up in case of emergency. The YouTuber Beat the Bush does a great job at critically approaching this one point specifically and walks you through an itemized budget. So I'll just link to his video below. Now think about how many months you would need funded so that you can sleep well at night today. That's the goal. This number will not be the same for everyone. And it's not just a matter of your comfort level or risk tolerance. Consider how difficult it would be to replace your income. Is it difficult to find jobs in your industry right now? Or are you in high demand? What options would you have? What else are you qualified to do? Is some of your income passive and reliable? What kind of insurance do you have? Like, if you couldn't work for an extended period of time due specifically to illness, do you have something that would pay out in that situation? If so, how much would it pay out compared to what you need? And how long is the waiting period before it starts paying out? That's a lot to consider. And unfortunately, that's not an exhaustive list, but hopefully you see where I'm coming from and can replicate the mental exercise yourself. Honestly, after all that, after running your brain and your emotions through that process, through that questioning, I think most people would feel more comfortable with 12 to 24 months of emergency fund savings. I don't mean to suggest a new rule of thumb for you to follow. I just want to illustrate how devastatingly off a 3-month e-fund could be from your reality. Throw out your rules. For this to work, you have to actually think about it. The number you come up with has to mean something to you. If you think other people could benefit from this process, then please take a moment right now to share this video with them. I'm pretty passionate about it. I think everyone needs to critically evaluate things like this. So help those you care about better protect themselves and their families by clicking that share button. Number 2, don't keep it all in banks. Think about this. Practically, wouldn't you feel more comfortable knowing it's actually in a physical location, a secure place where you put it? Maybe under your mattress is a little cliche, but I don't know, a safe? At least some of it. Wouldn't you feel more comfortable with that, knowing that you could be ready for any emergency without having to first stop by the bank? And isn't that the point? Peace of mind? Feeling comfortable, come what may? Maybe you don't see where I'm coming from yet. Maybe you can't imagine a time when this would actually be a problem. I mean, during personal emergencies, sure, banks would be fine. I'd still like to have it right there, but a bank would suffice. But is your emergency fund only for personal emergencies? Sometimes I feel like that's how most people treat it. And if that's all you need for peace of mind, fine. What about a more widespread emergency? One where people panic.
Everybody panic!
Where en masse they make a run on the banks. They want their money, they'd feel more comfortable right now, for whatever reason, actually having it in their pocket. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I'm not a doomsayer. I'm not making predictions here, but this can happen. This has happened.
Find this, you get your money in 60 days. 60?
When this happened in the United States during the Great Depression, banks made it difficult for you to actually access your funds.
Banks once used their own employees and relatives of their employees to stand in line and count out their change. Then 5 o'clock, boom, the bank's closed.
Today, of course, with the internet, that would be different. But my point is, when it's in the bank, it's not entirely within your control. And when you understand how our banking system actually works with fractional reserves, where they only have to keep like 10% of the money you deposit and can loan out the rest, you realize that your money actually isn't physically there either, or even accessible to the bank. But that's a rant for another day. To patch up a problem in 1933, the US government started insuring bank deposits with the FDIC. Since then, as the insurance amount has gone up dramatically over the decades, the US hasn't really experienced any major problems like that. If you think that system is sustainable, again, this is a much deeper topic for another time, then maybe you don't need to worry about this point. For me, and you can call me crazy, I just feel a little more secure when I have direct access to at least some of it. If you're from another country, however, this point may become even more important. Most recently, Greece and Spain have been experiencing these types of bank runs. When people stop trusting their government's ability to fulfill all of its obligations, those guarantees have less value. Economist Charles Wyckoff said, "The problem we have today is that the Spanish guarantee is looked upon by Spaniards as maybe yes, maybe no. Quizás sí, tal vez no." That's not the kind of risk you like to take with your money. Whether it's a household emergency or widespread chaos, I sleep better at night knowing that I at least have access to some, come what may. Number 3, and I'm getting crazier here. I know it. If you want to call me crazy, I can take it. But to be totally honest with you, that's what I want to do. For me to have a complete sense of security during an emergency, one currency is not enough. With the United States government's unprecedented and constantly growing debt, spending, and deficit levels, I cannot say with 100% surety what our future holds. I do personally believe this trajectory to be unsustainable. Again, a topic for another time, but that doesn't mean it couldn't improve, it couldn't be corrected. So I'm not saying some sort of danger is imminent or even necessarily likely. That's not the point here. I'm just saying that I don't 100% know what the future holds, and I don't think anybody can. And if you think I'm crazy, let me know in the comments. I probably am a little bit. So again, like the last point, but maybe even more so here, if you're totally sure that nothing will happen, that there's no chance your country has any major financial problems, then maybe you can disregard this one. But even if a tiny part of you is uneasy about the current state of affairs, then this might just resonate with you. Remember, a big part of an emergency fund is that feeling of financial security it can bring. So if you're going for pro e-fund status, which I recommend, you'll need to tackle this concern as well. And there are a couple reasons why I would feel more comfortable with actually diversifying my emergency fund, especially that physical portion that I keep on hand. So that's the goal here, diversifying my emergency fund beyond just my home country's currency, beyond just, for me, United States dollars. At the most basic level, sometimes, and this has happened in the past, a currency, even a major currency, loses significant purchasing power compared to the rest of the world. So because I'm human and can't predict the fate of any one currency, I would feel much more comfortable with my 1 to 2 years worth of expense savings if it were protected from that sort of devaluation. And if by some cruel twist of fate, one of those doomsday scenarios actually plays out someday, I would feel more comfortable having a more flexible emergency fund, one that also contains some foreign currencies and maybe some precious metals, maybe even a little cryptocurrency. You never know what might happen. That's the entire point of emergency fund, that despite that reality, that the unexpected does happen, whether it's personal or mass chaos, you have peace of mind, at least with regards to your financial situation. And that's my goal for you. So if you haven't already, seriously think about it. Do you truly feel prepared, come what may, with only 3 or even 6 months worth of living expenses denominated in your country's currency and held in your country's banks? I want to know what you're going to do about it. What change will you make to your emergency fund so that it actually serves its purpose, or so that it better serves its purpose, so that you truly have peace of mind? Even a small step in the right direction can have a significant impact on your financial future. Let me know in the comments, what are you going to do? And if this is your first time here, I want to thank you for sticking around. My hope is that this puts you one step closer to building your rapidly growing, highly diversified net worth. And if you want to stay on that path, consider subscribing and clicking on that notification bell so that you don't miss a beat. Like this video if you liked it. Check out the next video to continue on your journey. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care.